everybody. Thanks for coming out here to US Bank Arena. The Cincinnati Cyclones take on the Johnstown Chiefs this morning. Today is the first annual Education and Hockey Day event. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to use this arena and this hockey team to go ahead and educate you in a few things that you may not be aware of. We're going to show you how we actually use this ice rink for science, how we utilize the team for math, how we wind up being able to do a little geography, and we're even going to show you a little bit of physical education, all here this afternoon. Welcome to the intermission. Right now we're going to take a look at the math portion of what goes on the side of hockey. So we'll take a look here. We're going to take a look at figuring point totals for the individual players. And the way that we do this is we take the total number of goals that each player scores and we add them quite simply to the assists to come up with a total. So as we take a look, we've got 20 goals for Jason Deitch. We add that to his 26 assists, and that gives us a total, if you do the math, 6-0, carry it down, 2-2 winds up being 4. We know Jason Deitch now has 46 points on the season. We do the same thing with J.M. Dawu, 17 goals, add 18 assists to it, and we wind up with 35 points. In addition to the math, we're joined right now by Cyclone center Barrett Eggett's number 11 out on the ice today. Keep an eye on him. He played his collegiate hockey at Niagara University, so we expect that big smart guy like Barrett here is going to be able to help us with the rest of the math phase. So we're taking a look now at the standings, and as you can see up here on the board, we're trying to figure out who is the better team of the three that are listed. Now the Cyclones right now with 24 wins, 16 losses, and 4 losses in overtime. We're wondering if that's the best. The way that we figure out who the leaders are in this division is, as Barrett will show you, you take the number of wins by a team, and in this case Cincinnati with their 24, and we multiply that by 2 points. Every win a team collects is worth 2 points. Now, what happens is we get that total, and as Barrett will show you, that total is 48 points, and we add 1 point for each overtime loss. In this case, we have 4. So when we add the 4 points to the 48, we come up with 52 points. Now we get into a little trickier math. We're dealing with dividing, so this is going to be for the older kids. And the way we're going to do this, we figure out a team's winning percentage. We figured out the wins and the points and how all that adds up. Now we're going to step up and take a look at winning percentage. So Barrett, what happens here, the Cyclones have 7 wins on the season. We take the 7 times 2, because a win is worth 2 points, remember. We then add 2 points from overtime to come up with a total of, that gives us 16 points. Now, those 16 points are important, but what's also important when you do the math, 7 games that were won, 1 that was a loss, 2 in overtime, that's 10 total games played. Each game, in theory, is worth 2 points. So 10 times 2 is the total number of possible points. do that, now we can come up with a percentage. There are 20 possible points. The Cyclones have gotten 16 of them. When we divide 16 into 16 into 20, we come up with 80%. Right next to me, now that you guys have learned how ice is made and how the painting takes place, it's a whole lot slower than what you just saw in the video, but the main ingredient to making sure the ice in the hockey game gets played is this machine right here, the Zamboni. An $80,000 machine. It costs as much as a Humvee, and it does all of that and a whole heck of a lot more. The machine itself is operated on liquefied propane, and because of that, it winds up discharging just like a car, it burns just like it, and it operates on a Jeep frame. So if you're familiar with an AMC Jeep or a vehicle of that sort, it's this type of machine. Here in the second intermission for the final installment of this year's Education in Hockey Day event. And right now we're going to start by taking a look at what winds up happening with calorie counts with players. And what we have found is that ice hockey players will burn roughly 3.7 calories per pound they weigh per hour that they play. So traditionally, a hockey game like you're watching today takes 2.5 hours to complete. And by the time we figure in the 30-minute warm-up that they start the game with, they are on the ice for roughly 3 hours. As we take a look here, Jean-Michel Daoust weighs the least of any of the Cyclone players at 170 pounds. And over the course of the 3 hours, he'll burn roughly 627 calories per hour. When we figure out that he's on the ice for 3 hours, that becomes 1,881 calories. Now when we take a look at a larger player like Jason Goulet, who weighs the most of any of the Cyclone players at 245 pounds, he's losing calories at the rate of 889 calories per hour. When we multiply that by the 3 hours that he's out on the ice, we find that he's burning 2,667 calories per hour.